Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I know everybody's enjoying the All-Star break right now, including myself. But there's a few things that we could talk about in regards to the Los Angeles Lakers. A couple of rumors going around in regards to the buyout market, and a few other things that we could talk about in regards to the team. Um, for the first rumor, of course, we talked about Kevin Love being somebody that the Lakers have on their radar, from what I understand. I don't know that they're going to extend him any type of offer if he's going to have a conversation with the Lakers going forward, although those reports are out there. I hear the Heat have interest and probably a few other teams too. Um, but, one of the things I was listening to just now was Alan Sewa, who was talking about the prospects of bringing in Kevin Love, and he was just saying he wasn't really sure based on the fact that, if we have Vando, AD, Braun, Winyon, Rui, what role do you see him filling in, and will he be able to be a happy player in this situation based on the fact that his minutes are going to be probably lowered, or there's going to be situations where you have to ask yourself, is there any rotation that you actually want to see him in over some of those other guys, especially given the fact that we have some of the defensive issues that we've had. But for me, the answer is probably no, but I want that depth on my team anyway. As to say, I don't mind Kevin Love being on my team never playing, because I know if Winyan gets hurt, if AD gets hurt, I got that type of depth and that type of cachet and this type of stretch the floor type of piece that's going to help LeBron James win games, and Anthony Davis ain't going to be a part of. I could put Kevin Love on the floor and run certain plays that they ran back in Cleveland. And so I'm worried that Kevin gets cooked on the other end in some of those lineups. But if I put the right combination of players on the floor next to him and Kevin Love, I should be able to get away with it for spurts at a time. Now, am I signing up for that? If I'm Kevin Love, probably not. I'd probably go somewhere else and have a bigger role. But if I'm the Lakers, I want that depth. I want to be able to say that I got somebody behind AD and Vando and Winyon, or however they put that pecking order. I want that depth. And I want that shooting. I know we have legitimate shooting now in D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley. That's more than obvious. Mo Bamba should be able to hit it, even though that first game didn't look very good. But we have guys that we should be able to, say can hit the shot very well. But are any of those people Kevin Love? No. Simply put, he's the best shooter of those guys. So what I want is to add him to this situation, just off of the strength of the fact that I can put a shooting lineup on the floor with him, Beasley, and D'Angelo Russell that probably can rival some of the best shooting teams in the league. And when you consider who you're going to have to deal with, possibly, it would be nice to have lineups like that. Right now, I don't know that we have that lineup. We got that shooting coming from two places, but we don't have it coming from every place in that same with that same gravity. One of the things that I've been hearing people talk about in regards to the Lakers is gravity, and how Malik Beasley creates so much space and D'Angelo creates so much space for the others that Patrick didn't create, that obviously Russell did not, and it just makes for an easier floor game for LeBron James to kind of do the things that he does. I think if you put even more shooting on the floor, you even have even more space, and so that's why I think bringing in Kevin Love makes a lot of sense, just from a strengthening your depth and shooting lineup possibility standpoint. So that's why I'm bringing in Kevin Love, just as a piece that I'm just going to use to make me an overkill type of team, because I think we're good, but not good enough to beat the field just yet. You add the right couple of pieces in the buyout market, and you can soup yourself up even more. So that's what the Lakers should be trying to do. I hear that they were linked also to John Wall. Me personally, after what I understand how it went in Clipperland, John Wall probably don't have a whole lot left. And then one of the things that I'm looking at in regards to this buyout market is we have a team, with the exception of LeBron at 38, nobody's under the age of 27. So I don't know that this team really wants to get much older than that. You know what I mean? And I think Anthony Davis might be like 28 or something. But no one's younger than those. No one's older than those guys at this point. So maybe they're looking at bringing in one veteran as a positive. Maybe they're staying away from veterans all entirely. I'm not sure what I'm looking at there, but we'll see if they do make a move like this. We'll know. But there are other players they can look at. A guy that I want the Lakers to take a look at is someone the Washington Wizards just dropped. He used to play for the Nuggets, which his name would come to mind. It always does that. But he's a swing man for them. That he's also available. He should be considered. God, his name does not come to mind, but Will Barton. That's the guy I'm coming up with right now. Will Barton is somebody I want the Lakers to take a look at. A swing man they can put in at the 3, at the 2, plays defense, offense, can get his own shot, catch and shoot. He really doesn't have too many weaknesses at all. Good in the open court. A little long in the tooth at this point, but not too long to where you don't see him helping you. I like him as a piece that can come in and give me some of that Caris LeVert type of energy off the bench. Somebody who would just really, really light it up. Not necessarily be super consistent, but I wouldn't ask him to be. He wouldn't have to start with us. Just come off the bench, play in that unit with Austin Reeves, play in that unit with Rui Hachimura and those guys, and just ultimately make them that much better. So I can totally see Will Barton obviously going back to Denver, and we've talked about that. But I think a good spot for him to go to is the Lakers. And that would kind of be the choice I would have if I had to pick somebody out of the buyout market. Kevin Love is good, but I think we have an overkill a little bit at that position. And I don't think we can slot him in other positions. You put him at the 5, it's dangerous now. It's going to be cook time. So that's my thing. Is like Kevin Love is strictly for 3-point shots, specialist 4 to 3. Will Barton, I'm going to ask to do a lot more for me. Continuity stuff, defensive stuff, etc. Obviously, Kevin Love can help you on the boards too naturally, but I just don't expect him to do a whole lot there at this stage in his career, especially with limited minutes, which he would be given with the roster as it is. So I can see a path to Barton getting more minutes possibly as a 3, even though we have a bunch of 2s that we played 3 just the same, like Austin Reeves and Troy Brown, Max Christie. Those guys can be considered 3s. I actually like them all at the 2, to be completely honest with you. And then it's like Lonnie Walker. I just feel bad for Lonnie. I just don't see a path to him getting minutes. I just don't see it. And the sad thing is, I think he's one of our best offensive weapons. It's not like I've lost faith in him. I still feel the same way I felt about him in the start of the season. If you put the right defensive players around him and ask him to go score, he going to go score. He going to walk out there with 25, 30 points. So there's no reason for him to be in the role that he's in with our team. It's just messed up. How that played out, I was thinking he was going to be sent to Atlanta for Bogey. It just didn't happen. And I'm not mad at that necessarily because I'd actually rather have him than Bogey. But, it's one of those situations where it doesn't help him. That doesn't really help him. So, it just depends on what you need. And for what we need, we probably needed the shooting before we picked up Beasley. Now that we picked up Beasley, I don't know that we need the shooting as much as what Lonnie does. So I think that was a good understanding, a good calculation in regards to the Lakers. But looking at what they had versus what it is they were getting, and then seeing that they were probably doubling down on more of the same if they would have brought in Bogey and Beasley and D'Lo. It's like you need shooting, but not that many shooting guards shooting. You can only put one of them on the floor at the time, and you still have a bunch of other guards as well. You probably want them doing multiple different things. Lonnie's not as much of a shooter as much as an open court player, athlete, somebody who can catch lobs, that kind of thing. So he's going to do a little more for you in that way than Bogey would, as to where Bogey's just going to do a bunch of Beasley stuff. So it makes sense to me. It just is unfortunate for the player. But for the sake of trying to win a championship, this is the type of depth you want. Now, for some reason, Schroeder goes down with an injury. Austin's injury flares up again. Now you can go to Lonnie with regular rotation minutes. He can give you regular rotation stuff. Problem is, it's only 23 games left in the season, and the path to that doesn't seem imminent unless there are injuries. And he's playing for a contract. So that's why I wanted to trade him. I thought it was the move, but maybe nothing manifested that made any sense. But it may help us that he doesn't play as much to try to re-sign him. Maybe he gets, we can get him at a better deal because he couldn't prove himself to be as valuable as ultimately I believe he is. But again, not in his best interest. It's in ours. So I don't know. It is what it is, man. I look around and I say, okay, now that we have established some of those rumors, we've heard about the guys that may be possible to pick up. There are a few others as well. What I think about is the fit that we have right now. We talk a lot about D'Lo and how good he's looked in this rotation to start. I was listening to, Laker Nation. I believe those guys. No, it was somebody sat down with. I think it was the Kaminsky brothers. One of them sat down with a guy from Minnesota Timberwolves side of things in regards to their network of podcasts, and he was essentially giving them an update on D'Lo. or rather a reflection on his visual on D'Lo over the last several years as a Timberwolf, and I really picked up some really good stuff there, man. I encourage everybody to go check out that content because really what they were telling us essentially was that D'Lo was a guy who had had some real highs and some real lows, ups and downs as it pertains to his tenure with the Timberwolves, and it just didn't seem like he was always on the same page with the coaches. Not necessarily having beef or it being a locker room thing, but just not being able to align in how to make the team better from his position and his standpoint, I guess, or something. And he would try to shoot his way out of things rather than being despondent or disappearing. He would just overshoot. And so that's something we got to look out for, him not losing focus and then ultimately trying to shoot his way out of frustrating circumstances. And also, he mentioned something that was really important, and that was D'Lo's repeated frustration with back cuts defensively, not being able to read those situations well, not being able to stay as engaged as he needed to in those type of defensive situations. So we need to try to limit those and work on those in practice. But for the next 23 games, try to limit any situations where he's exposed to back cuts and things of that nature. So these are just little tidbits that you can pick up and just continue to keep in the conversation on our channel so we can reinforce and relay these understandings. No different than continuing to remind people that Wenyen Gabriel is one of the better, if not the best, contested rebounding player in the game right now. Even though he's not getting the minutes to show it as of right now, anytime he's going up for a rebound against somebody else, he's more likely to get it than anybody else, it seems, based on the numbers this season. So these are the little tidbits we pick up along the way. We do not forget. We do not forget them. One of the things that I want to see the Lakers do is continue to let Malik Beasley do what he does. Shoot the ball the way he is. He attempted 12 threes, I think it was, in the previous game. I think it was 12. Hit 6 of them. That's 50%. Shooting a 3. That's what he does. One of the things that the Timberwolf guy was telling us was like, yo, Malik Beasley is a guy who's going to shoot like that. That's where he's at his best. In transition, threes. And he's one of the best in the league at that. He's not going to do too much extra than what it is he's good at. But that he's so good at what he does can really assist us based on how we're constructed and what our team's needs are. So he's a specialty guy, just like I said. You know, you just because he's so very good at what he does. Here we go with the Russell Westbrook aspect of things. Just because he's so very good at what he does, he's being paid to do that at that level. But it doesn't mean that because he's been paid at that level that you want to give him a role that will reflect the players who are making that type of money in other situations, because he's a super specialist at his super skill, right? So just like Russell Westbrook, he's very, very good at the things that he's very, very good at, but should not be confused to ask to do other things that a $47 million player would ask to do, because he's not going to do those things. He's just going to do what he does at a level better than everybody else. And so when you have a player like that, you got to know how best to use them and not be confused by how much you've paid for them being what it is that you're responsible to having them play. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say, I guess, is just because you paid a guy a certain amount does not mean that the best way to utilize him is to give him 30 minutes a game and have him shooting all the shots. No, you just understand that you got a very special elite weapon that if you use correctly and you put on the right way and you turn it up the right way, you're going to win the game. You know, it's almost like adding NOS to your car or something that's going to speed up your car, like a boost to your vehicle. It ain't the engine itself, but it's going to boost your vehicle so well that any race you're in, you're just going to speed past whoever. And so if you use it when you're supposed to, you'll get the most out of it. But if you're just using it all day long, it's not going to be utilized properly. And so that's kind of how I look at it. It's like he's a specialty piece. It's fine if you put him in at 18 minutes a game, but them 18 minutes, he's going to jack up like 10 threes. He's going to hit like 7 of them. And then you sit him back down and proceed your situation with your 15, 20-point lead that he helped you get. You know what I mean? You don't have him out there for 40 minutes getting cooked by people, you know, that are as fast as John Moran. And they're like, nah, you don't put him out there to do that just because he's making $18 million this season. He's making $18 million this season because he can run it up with like 8 threes right now and then sit back down and be cool. You feel me? And that's $18 million worth of play for him. See? So that's where teams get messed up. They get confused by that. They don't look at him as a, you know, like for example, I'm gonna use another car example. Like a vehicle itself can be $20,000. And it's something you add to the vehicle can be worth $10,000 because of what it is. You know what I mean? It's not to be confused with the car itself. It ain't going to have the function of the car, but it's going to be just as expensive because it's exquisite. And it's an addition to what it is you do. You know, sometimes those additions can be even more expensive than the car itself, but it don't mean it's going to be able to actually move. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at a player like that. It's a specialty piece. You use them properly, you get the most out of them. And it's going to be expensive because it's very, very good. So that's Malik Beasley in a nutshell, man. You just got to plug him when it's necessary to run the score up and then sit him back down when the defense dictates it's necessary to do so. And that's going to be the challenge for Darvin Ham. You know, the Dennis Schroeder thing, listen, I don't know why Dennis Schroeder would be considered a more important person than Lonnie Walker or Troy Brown or any of the other expiring contracts, but we have got to stop giving Dennis Schroeder the cachet that Lonnie or somebody else doesn't get. It doesn't make sense to do it. I know Dennis Schroeder's been dealing with a lot of stuff as it pertains to his, his free agency situation. I'm more than aware of it. I've covered it for the last 2 years, so I know what he's been dealing with. But at the same time, it's like we can't be so sensitive to what it is that he's been dealing with that we allow him to play point guard minutes that need to go to D'Lo, minutes that need to go to Lonnie, minutes that need to go to Troy, minutes that need to go to Austin. We got to stop that. It's the same thing we did with Patrick Beverley, giving him all the minutes, and it gave us all the losses. Dennis Schroeder was a part of that trio. It was him, Russell Westbrook, and Patrick Beverley in a trio of small ball players that ultimately made us as bad as we were. Okay, let's just be honest. It's why we sucked as bad as we were. Dennis was a big part of that. Now, he's played some really good games, and if there was one I wanted to keep between the three of them, it was him. But that does not mean that I want to continue to see him get the minutes that he's been getting since the trade. I'm sorry. He struggled a lot. And in the last game, Coach did pull his minutes down in the right way. If he's going to struggle like that, that's the best way to go. Now, if he's playing like he did pre-AD's injury, you know, when he was balling out just like AD was, then you want to see him starting. You want to see him getting 40 minutes a game because he can help us win that way. We've seen him at his best. So we know what he looks like when he's absolutely at his best this season. He's worth playing. But when he's giving you six assists, 1 of 8, 4 rebounds, and he's been out there for 30 minutes, and your team lost, that's the coach giving him more respect than he would give Lonnie, giving him more respect than he would give other players who are in the exact same situation. And I don't think that that's to the betterment of the team at all. At all. Everybody here damn near has to play for a contract to some degree. If they ain't on for one, they're going to be coming up for it next year, so they better play well now anyway. The point is, we got guards now. We got a guy by the name of D'Angelo Russell who should have effectively removed any need to play Dennis Schroeder 30 minutes a game. Any need for that. And with the exception, with the changes that we made to the starting lineup in the previous game, where we removed Dennis from there, put in Malik Beasley last minute, kept D'Lo there, and then started whomever else with Bron and AD. I don't remember who it was. I thought that was the way to go. Case by case, basis by basis. The last time we saw Malik Beasley, he was going 6 for 12. He probably should be the guy starting the shooting guard game next day. That's how it should be. Unless the matchups dictate, that makes absolutely no sense. You know, that's how I look at it. And if Austin Reeves comes out and goes 8 for 8, you know what I mean, and hits all his free throws, gets a bunch of drawn offensive fouls, and gets like 5 assists and 8 boards, something like that. If he has a ball-out game, I expect him to start shooting guard next. Because that's the only way we need to be playing it. That's the only way we need to be playing it. We need to be locked into nothing because we have a new team, and we don't really know what works for us. And we need to be winning games. We ain't got time to be leaning on something that doesn't work for too long or having inner gut feelings that this is going to work when it don't make no sense on paper. We don't have the time, Lakers. We just don't have the time. So we did enough of that stuff throughout the start of the season. Bron is still being forced to miss games with the foot. And we got to find ways to win these games. You know, I personally think it's a good chance that he's going to miss tonight's game, the All-Star game. I've been hearing a lot of stuff about him not even being in Utah. So I don't know. He's been dealing with some personal stuff. I don't know if Bron's going to be available tonight. That means I don't know if he's going to be available next Thursday when we play the Warriors. So we just got to find ways to win. It does not matter what's in front of us. It don't matter who all we got to play. We got to beat those teams. We got the Warriors. We got the Grizzlies. We got the Mavericks. We got the Thunder coming up. We got the Bulls. We got the Suns. We got a lot of teams we got to beat, man. The Warriors are coming up twice over the next 2 weeks. Like, this is not a joke. The Lakers are not in a position to take chances that don't work and find themselves in position to be unorthodox and to not succeed. So that's what I want to see. Um, the biggest thing that I like about what we've done here with the Lakers is providing us so much length. Above all else, obviously the shooting was most important. But me personally, for my preference of what I like to see, I really wanted the length. We were getting rid of Thomas Bryant. Obviously, Damian Jones didn't work out. Obviously, Anthony Davis been in and out of the lineup. Bringing in Mo Bamba. Bringing in Vanderbilt. I think that's ultimately what we needed because we were too reliant upon Anthony Davis's rim protection, too reliant upon Anthony Davis's ability to stretch the floor some and things like that, to where we would find ourselves not having what we needed in those ways pre-trades. Now that we have those players in place, you can see opportunities for us to sit AD and still be a dominant defensive team. You can see opportunities for us to get blocked shots when Bron and AD ain't on the floor because Bamba and Vando are going to be so incredibly difficult to deal with defensively. So that's what I want to see. Bamba's going to have to continue to improve blocking shots, or rather continue to improve doing the things that he does, and not worry so much about missing the three-point shot. His three is his natural game. We know Mo Bamba's a shooter. He's a 7-foot shooter. But he also has the biggest arm length in the league. Longer than Rudy Gobert. Longer than Reb Wanyama, from what I understand. Although I can't be certain of that. But he's the longest recorded in the league as of yet. And so what I'm telling you is, the most important thing for Bamba to do for us, offensive rebounding, weak side help, easy putbacks. That's honestly the most important thing. 3-point shooting, more so, be the threat of a 3-point shooter while you on the floor with whoever you're on the floor with, whether it be Anthony Davis and LeBron James. If he can be a threat and hit the shots while they're on the floor, that's the most important thing in regards to the three, in my opinion. Because what you want is for that threat to be there so that people think he's going to hit the shot to create space for Bron. Other than that, I mean, him hitting the three is not really as much of a weapon for possession per possession as it is him being in the paint, creating opportunities with easy buckets and stuff like that, depending on who's on the floor with him, of course. So that's what I'm saying. I think looking at him and Rui Hachimura, particularly Bamba and Rui Hachimura, I think the Lakers brought those guys in with the intention of them hitting the three. What I don't want us to do is overreact to them not hitting it. That's what I'm saying, because I think they can help us enough defensively, both of them, with their length and their size, to make it so that you should still be choosing them over who else you think would be able to do the thing that they didn't do. That's what I think. Because coach will probably go, okay, let's go Lonnie then. They didn't do it, all right, let's go small. Wrong. Keep the length on the floor. Just because the three didn't hit doesn't mean that the other stuff that they're not leaving open needs to be left open so that you can hit the three. No, it doesn't necessarily have to go that way if you're doing things properly with the rotations. So, yeah, that's where my head is, man. Vanderbilt, from what I understand, does not have great hands. That's important to throw into this video. The guy was telling us that Vando's hands are bad as it gets. Basically, he's going to drop a lot of stuff that's thrown his way, and so we just got to be ready for that. He's going to make up for it with energy, make up for it with being twice as fast as everybody else. He's going to make up with it for in other areas. So we just got to be aware that the no-look passes, the stuff that's not conventional, you will throw the possession away if for some reason you overestimate his ability to catch a basketball. Straight up. You're going to throw the possession away. So know who's on your team, know your personnel. Do not do too much with Vando down there like that. So, yeah, that's one thing I think. And then last but not least, I guess for me, it's just Anthony Davis. We're going to need him to continue to do what he's been doing defensively. We're going to need his offense to turn up if people are going to get back on board with Anthony. That's what it really comes down to. The average fan appreciates his defense, but they're not going to appreciate 18 points, 23 points from a guy that we can clearly see is capable of putting up 60, 57, 47 every night when he's feeling himself. He can do that. And so when you show us that level, you got to understand we've seen that level from others several times over with the Lakers. So it's not like we're expecting you to chill after giving us a week and a half of 50-point games straight. Because if you go back and look what Kobe was doing in that regard, we're spoiled, very spoiled. Look at what Shaq was doing in that regard, spoiled. Kareem, Magic, spoiled. We are not going to accept being teased with greatness. We're just not. We're not amazed by it like that. We're not saying, "Oh my God, we're so happy somebody's done this." You're not breaking records in our uniform. None of that. None of that. So that's what it's about. It's about him staying consistent on the offensive end to keep the respect of the fans in regards to him being that guy. Because if you only do it for 5 minutes and you can't do it in June, or you can't do it leading up to June, it's just going to be more of the same. And he's been used to it. People saying that he ain't going to do it all the time. And if we could do better if we split him up into the different pieces, trade him for some other guys. So I know he's dealing with the bone spur. I'm not of the mindset that he's just going to turn around and score 45 for us every night with this injury. But it's what's required for people to start seeing him the way he wants to be seen. Simply put, it's what's required. So I'm not going to give him a pass because he is a great player. You know, it's not like I'm asking him to do stuff that he's not capable of doing. I'm asking him to do stuff that he's shown me he can do regularly. So that's what it is, man. We ain't gonna ask Wenyen Gabriel to be Anthony Davis. We asking Anthony Davis to be Anthony Davis. So get back on board, man. It's been a week since we had them bad days. His All-Star break should be giving him some time to get his mind right, work on whatever he has to get right to do. And look, I'm gonna tell you like this: he's not in a position to where it's as simple for us to say, if you can't play at your highest level, just go get surgery. The team can't afford that. That's the problem. That's the problem. I would love to be able to say, you know, if you can't play at your highest level, just go get your foot fixed and come back when you can, because that's what I think makes all the sense in the world. But unfortunately, with 23 games left and LeBron James in year 20, we need him to just come in here and play however he can play. So, you know, this is one of the errors of building this way. You're not afforded to be able to do what's best for the player if for not just kind of the clock working against you. With what it is that your timeline is. So another reason why I would have personally traded Anthony Davis, because I don't know that we can ask him to get healthy and get what we need from him, which is totally backwards. It's totally backwards. But it is what it is, man, when he's dealing with that foot, you know. So I want the best from AD. I want the best for AD, and I want the best from AD. Because that's who he is. That's who number 3 is. Also, something that has nothing to do with nothing. Absolutely nothing to do with nothing, but it crossed my mind. I thought it was funny. Not funny, but whatever. AD. Why didn't you choose the number 80? 80. 80? Anyway, never mind. Enough of that. All right, so what else? Yeah, man. The Lakers look great. D'Angelo Russell is going to fit in just fine. I'm glad he's back. 26 years of age. The field basically raised him. We brought him back on time to help us win, hopefully, over the next several years as we try to close this thing out with Bron. I expect the Lakers to re-sign him and keep him on tab with Bron's years, or what they think potentially could be Bron's tenure. I think that's how they'll do it. Just to make sure that he has a legitimate number 3 no matter what. If you know, no matter what, we know that we can count on D'Lo to be his to be happy in a Laker uniform, which I think is a big part of why the Lakers want to re-sign him, because they know he can play in these bright lights. He's already proven it. We know he can hit big shots and be confident. We know he's going to be wired a certain way to where he can come out here every night and ain't going to be no problem. After going through that with Russell Westbrook and several other players where it didn't seem like they were comfortable in the uniform, I think the Lakers value that a bit more than some of the other things that they may have valued before, man. And I don't blame them. I kind of do too. The stability of having somebody you know can do it for you. It's not something that every team has to guard against, but us, yeah. Basically, yeah. And so as I look around, I say, okay, the problem that the Lakers are running into is not that they don't have a good enough team. It's that the coach ain't going to put the players on the floor that we respect or expect can help us the most. The rotations is what it is. Even when I look at what we have and everybody's talking, I hear Stephen A talking about, yeah, the Lakers, I'm high on the Lakers above the Clippers. I'm high on the Lakers in certain areas. I'm like, yeah, me too, from a roster standpoint. You know, but if the person who's in control, if the kid who's holding controller is not doing right, it don't matter how good your team is. You're going to suck. And so that's where we're at. Now, what do I expect from Darvin Ham? All these different things that we got going on, and his choices have just been putrid, man. They really smell bad. And so, you know, we don't fire the coach. Fine. Nobody wants to fire a rookie coach. But what have we done to address our problems? Yes, we gave him better players, but are we helping him put them on the floor in better ways? If last game was in the indication, I believe so. given the fact that he made the changes with the starting lineup. I believe so. That's a good sign. So I want to see more of that. Give me more conventional lineups. Give me more conventional rotations. No more of that gut feeling, let's run small ball because it just seems right, even though it doesn't seem right stuff. That doesn't look good to anybody but you, Darvin. And so we gotta move away from that and get to stuff that works. 23 games left. Games against the Thunder. Listen, we got 2 games against the Warriors, as I said, 2 games against the Thunder, I believe, left. Clipper game, Knicks game, 2 Bulls games. I don't know how people feel about these games, but when I look at the Thunder, I see a team that's potentially better than us depending on how we play it. Especially if we assume we're going to win. Not the move. Not the move. They got too many young players, too much length, too many real shooters to think that that's a game that you don't take as seriously as any other game that you got going forward. The Warriors. Steph is coming back at some point. I don't think he'll be back after the All-Star break, but he might be back for our second matchup with him on the 3rd or the 4th of March or something like that. It's not a shoe-in win. You got Dallas. You know what they're up to. You know how they're moving. Phoenix, by the time we play them, from what it looks like, they should probably be settled in. So it's like these are the type of things. Them 2 back-to-back Chicago games, one of them here, and you got to fly to Chicago and play. I'm telling y'all, man. I am telling you, this is not going to be easy stretch as people think. It's not going to be as easy stretch as people think. Even though people look at the roster and say the Lakers should be able to do it, I'm telling you that we still have games where Bron ain't even out there. We still got situations where we don't even know who our rotations are necessarily. And so I'm not going to sit here and say that the team cannot do it. I'm definitely sure they can. But we're going to need some dramatic improvement from our coach. We're going to need that soon. Very soon. And we're going to need guys to play well. And we're going to need guys to fight through some injuries. Play through some injuries. This is not the time to be missing games. You're going to miss a lot of games if we don't make the playoffs. You're going to be able to rest all them foot injuries you got. You're going to be able to sit through all of that in April if we get eliminated. As soon as we get eliminated, none of you guys have to play. No more games. Bron or AD, y'all can sit for the rest of the season, off season, get ready for next season, however it's going to go. And that's what guys need to remember when they sit these games. That's what I need Bron to understand. Like, brother, you can sit tonight's game, but you're going to sit a lot more games than you think. Because we ain't going to make the playoffs, and you're going to be sitting watching the playoffs the whole time. And the one thing that's going to be playing in your mind is, I should have played in that Golden State game. I should have played in that Denver game, or whatever the games are missed. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the games are missed. He going to be like, you know what? It didn't feel good, but I was sitting on that sideline. I know I could have played a couple quarters. I could have gave him at least 15 minutes. Might have made the difference. I'm just saying. And I'm not telling you I support this. Personally, this is what I think we have to do to make it through the 23 games with the situation we have. If I'm behind it and I'm doing things responsibly, we built differently so that we don't need to do all that. Unfortunately enough, we didn't find ourselves in this situation. Anthony Davis and LeBron James' health is too important for us to have to risk it for the timeline. Doesn't that defeat the purpose in and of itself? I think so. I really think so. But nevertheless, this is where we are, so this is what we got to do. This is what we got to tell people. Fight through your injury, or it's going to be off or not. So that is the statement. That is the exact statement. Fight through your injury, or it's going to be off or not. We got to have guys rest where it makes sense, but play where they can. And consider a half a game a rest. That's another thing. I don't know why we can't. If there's certain games that Bron can play 12 minutes, let him run 12 minutes and sit the rest. But do get that 10 points out of him. Do get that gravity, so to speak, out of him. And sit him to rest. But as far as resting him the whole game when you're in this situation, if it's not absolutely necessary, I don't think the math adds up. I don't think it makes sense. I really don't. I don't think it makes sense. So we got to give it some thought. Obviously, people are smarter than me. They know what they're doing. But when you're working against the clock in the way that we are, and you look at the schedule the way that it is, these teams are not as easy to beat as we think. Them Thunder games, I know people look at the Thunder games, they say we're going to win those. There's some other games, too, we play against the teams. They're like, oh, subpar, Minnesota. Y'all really think Anthony Edwards ain't going to play some of the best ball of his life against you, LA? You tripping. Against some of his old teammates, you tripping. These are things I already know coming. Memphis. The way that went last time, you think they ain't going to try to drop 135 on our head in the next game? You don't think that they're going to be ready for us in a couple games from now, even though they've been playing horribly? Listen, that's another thing that people need to understand. The All-Star break separates the entire season. Any tendencies that guys had before the All-Star break, missing shots, making shots, reset, because everybody is resting. Everybody is getting rusty. Everybody is drinking and chilling in Utah right now. So it's reset. Whether if you was hot and you shooting 40% from behind the arc before the All-Star break, you might be shooting 27 when you get back. And these are the type of things that we got to deal with on all levels of spectrums with the teams that we're going to be facing. Coming back from the All-Star break, stuff you did homework for, some of these teams have made trades. Some of these teams look totally different than what you've been preparing for. You go over there, look at the Clippers, you got a different team now. Talking about Bones Highland and Mason Plumlee, you got an entirely different team to try to scheme against in this situation. So it's like, if we're not doing our homework right now, for the 23 teams that we're going to have to face over the course of the next month and a half, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for the Lakers. It's going to be bad for the Lakers even after they made these trades. It don't matter how good your team is. It's whether or not they can cover the ground in front of them. Can they cover that ground? Because if we had a whole season left, I think we're going to be a top 4 team in the Western Conference. You know? This is just like when the Washington Wizards made their push toward the playoffs last year. Did they have not last year, but the year before when they had Brody and those guys, did they have enough time? Fortunately enough, they were able to squeeze in the playoffs, but they started playing well at the very end and had to win damn near every game to get in. We're in that spot. We're there. We made the trades necessary to make us good enough to do it, but we still got to do it. So that's where we're at with that, man. That's where we're at. Got a deep team. The buyout market looks like it could be kind to us. We might be getting somebody we really like. But if Darvin Ham don't put the right rotations on the floor, and Anthony Davis and LeBron James can't overcome these foot injuries, we're just playing for the continuity and the betterment of next season. So that's what I have to say, man. That's my Laker video for the day. I hope everybody enjoys the All-Star game tonight in Utah at 5 o'clock, I believe it is. Like I said, Bron will be represented, but I don't know that he's even in the state right now, so I don't know what's going on there, but hopefully he's well. And, yeah, that's what I got to say, man. That is the gist of it. My name is BDO44. Thank you all for watching. Wow.